Hey, so today we got this radio that was brought over to me by a friend that belongs to his next door neighbor, and it belonged to her grandfather. And this is a 3-band radio by Panasonic, and I'm going to explain the blue tape in a minute. I believe it is a model RF-1006MD. It has 3 bands on it. If you look at it here, there's an FM, AM, and middle band. And the middle band goes from 1.6 megahertz to 4.5 megahertz. So you can see it covers the 120 meter band, the 90 meter band, and 75 meter band, that kind of range. And it also has FM and AM. This radio was brought out probably in the mid-60s. 65, 66, and I've seen an interesting ad for this where it was marketed to be installed in a car as well. This would kind of come down and it would slide into a bracket underneath the dash, and then you could pull on the handle and slide it out of the bracket from underneath the dash of the car. Now, on the side, it's got a number of external connections. This one is earphone, external amplifier, multiplex output, phono in, exterior antenna, and ground. And this, I think, is a external power port, but we'll see. It's missing the battery cover door on the back. Looking inside, I don't see any evidence of damage. Looks like it holds C cells. The door, as I mentioned, is missing. Alright, so let's see this antenna. Let's see if we can just stow it. There. Okay. I think there's a better look for this thing. Okay, the purpose of the blue tape. Okay, so the fellow who got this, so the next door neighbor's grandfather, the story goes is that he'd gotten one of those engraving pencils and kind of went to town. And I do remember when those kind of came out, and people did do that. And so what he did was he went through and buzzed on his name and his driver's license number, and yes, his social security number all over this thing in multiple places. Well, I guess once he started doing it, he thought it was fun, just kind of kept going. And I remember those days. We used to do this. I've done this, where you put your information on things that you would never dream of doing nowadays. But anyway, it was done pretty commonly. And there was also some Dymo label makers that had been used to put on things with like phone numbers. And there was a part here where it said, it was like this has been a gift. And it was from somebody to this other person. And so I blocked all the names out for this video, as you can see. But I left the date. So 1967 was when this was gifted to this person, is what I believe that means. And it had it again back here on the back. So those engravers were fun to play with, and these label makers were fun to play with, and we used it for everything. I remember that in those days. So it was not uncommon, and we used to do it all the time. So anyway, as you can see, I covered that up for this. Even here, this used to be like a logo, and it was gone, and the fellow had written his name in script and then put his driver's license number and so forth. So anyway, it was a simpler time. And but anyway, we're going to see if we can get this thing to work. They asked me to take a look at it and see if I could see if it would work, and that's what we'll do. We'll take a quick look at it. So I guess the first thing we'll do is, it doesn't have any batteries in it. Like I say, it looks clean. What I'm going to do is try to just open this thing up and take a look. I believe it holds, looking in here, it holds 4 C cells. So that'll be 6 volts DC. So I'll see if I can rig up a power supply to this, and we'll see how she behaves. So let's get to it. We'll start taking this apart and see if we can hook up some power to it and see if it'll work. Stick around. Okay, let's see about getting this thing opened up. Alright, so first thing to check is make sure the tuning works. That seems to be doing just fine. That switch works fine. That one's a little stiff, gummy. Automatic frequency control. Tone, bass and treble. On, off. Okay, and then this is the antenna in the stowed position, and you can pull that out now. And then when it pulls out into the swivel, you can bend it down and put it in different directions. It could be that I can snug that up to where it's not, you know, just swinging freely. I'm going to park it for now so it doesn't get damaged. There's a button here in the front. We'll see what that is. I suspect it's a light. I looked at some pictures online of this, trying to find a schematic. I could not find a schematic on this guy. But one of the things I did notice is that I didn't see any pictures of anything that were similar to this, and I couldn't find hardly anything in the MD model. But none of them had this. So I think this is added by the owner for an external power supply. I'm going to have to check that, but that would explain why maybe there weren't ever batteries used in here, and that's why this looks clean like that. So we'll see about that. And that screw goes to the bottom of the antenna mount, it looks like, so that's not it. I think what I'll do is, looks like there's a cross brace here. I'm going to take this screw out here and then maybe over here, and we'll see what we get looking into there. So let's get that apart and see what we get. I'll get a screwdriver. Wow. Look at that. That battery compartment is nearly pristine. You see that on here? Excellent job. Okay, let's see here. Let me disconnect this antenna here. I can. Okay. Yeah, that's an external power connector, and it may be that that's an external power connector right there, if it'll focus. Focus. It's not going to. There we go. That's an external power connector that I think the previous owner put in there and then wired it into the battery compartment and didn't use batteries. Look at that. He saved this. He saved this radio. Awesome. Okay, it's got some writing here. Let's see if we can read that. It says the last battery is inserted by pushing it rightwards. Well, that makes sense. That's where the spring is. Be sure that the tape is placed beneath the batteries for added convenience when removing batteries. Yeah. See, what you would do is you lay this tape down. You know, guys my age know this, but lay the tape down here, and then when you load the batteries in, you might not be able to get it through the door to get it back out. So what you do is you grab this ribbon and pull it. And when it does that, it pulls the battery out, and then you can get them out, working them back and forth. So it looks like it's got room for 4 batteries. And which way is positive? Okay, I can see right here. Positive is to the left. So you put 2 batteries here, put the 3rd battery here, and drop the 4th one in, and just kind of push these back against the spring and snap it in with this underneath it. So yeah, positive is this way and negative is this way, which makes sense, of course, by the way these are shaped. Okay, that's great. That's probably the best news we've seen. All right, so let me see if I can rig up a power supply to this and see what we get. I don't see any. I've got to be careful. The needle is here and it's sticking out. Okay. So we got 4 C cells. Each C cell is 1.5 volts, so that is 6 volts total. And I'll put positive on this end, negative on this end, and we'll see if we get anything. I may need to plug the antenna back in. Let me just do that real quick so we can get a good test. Okay. So antenna plugging back in to the base of the antenna. Okay, that's done. Okay, now over here I've got my lab supply set up right here. So what I'll do is plug this in and we'll set it up for 6 volts. And it's got current control on it. I put a really small current on it. Okay, one of the things I notice on the camera, sorry, on the radio, getting back to it, is the red lead goes to the negative and the positive lead is the gray. So they've got, need to be careful of that when we're looking at wiring this thing up. So the black for negative will go here because that's negative for the batteries. And the positive, yeah, that's a gray, I can see it over here, that's the gray wire. It comes running around over here. Probably best place to tie onto it is there's a spot over here where I can attach it. Interesting is there's a red lead here because that's the positive, but soldered on a gray lead. I may reverse that just so that we don't have confusion. Let me plug that on. Well, first let me get my battery, my voltage set. Okay, I've got it set for just a little under 6 volts. I got it at 5.5 volts and just a small amount of current set. Alright, so this is, let's see, where's the on off? I got it off. I'll plug this in like that. Okay, I'm not sure, I'm looking at the current meter over here to the left and it doesn't show anything. The smallest it shows is 10 milliamps. Alright, so bring this back up. Let's see what we can get, if anything here. Turn on. We have static. Let's see, we're on the FM band. Is that right? Yeah, we're in the FM band here. And where's tuning? Where's tuning?
All times, all people, pour out your heart before Him.
You got a 55-year-old radio. A 55-year-old radio, and I just put power to it and it works.
I could spend
And it's got plenty of volume.
So guys, what does He mean when He says, we say trust God?
Ryan, and while moving in is so exciting, it's the selling and
Is that fantastic or what? I don't even have the antenna extended. Oops. Okay.
Time to list. They'll do the prep work and painting.
Now I'm sure the camera is doing some compression. That volume just popped, like really loud. So. See, the AFC is working. Apparently.
hermoso y lo que seguirá haciendo.
Okay, well, I'm going to say FM sounds great. Let's try AM now. Ooh. Silent. Well, we know the audio circuit works because it's playing like a madman in FM. So the audio part of this looks like it's in fantastic shape. And the FM side of the tuner and preamp is all there. Let me make sure the tone control works. Ah, a little bit noisy switch, maybe that's what it is. All right, let's go back FM. I don't want to be on music. Hello? Did I lose you? This switch needs to be cleaned.
A language feel like this.
No habla español? It's hablo? It's hablo.
When you learn a language, you want to actually use it. Babbel is designed with that goal in mind.
Since my husband is from
Yeah, so that's working.
I'll apply what
All right.
I learned.
So AM. Okay, that's medium band, not middle band. Medium band. I'm getting static. This will probably need to have the external antenna to pick up this band. But I'm getting static. That's a good thing. AM was quiet as opposed, huh? Let's go to AM. Quiet. Well, I say the first order of business is we clean this switch, and then we'll see if that brings AM back, because we're getting static on medium band. Let's clean these switches. I think that's the problem. Yeah, we're gonna have a hard time knowing what we're doing until we get our minutes taken care of, and then we'll be able to find out what's wrong with AM if it's still there. Okay, let's figure out how do we get to those controls. Boy, it's dirty down in there. Just dust. I do not want to mess with that dial cord any more than I have to. Let's see. I wonder if the other half of this comes off the front the same way as the back did, because of the way this is screwed together. Let me take a gander at that and see what we get. Let's see. No. I don't know. Let's just see what we get. Power's off. All right. Handle wants to come off. That may not get me what I need. Yeah, that's just the handle. Okay, well, handle's off then. I think what I'm going to do, since this was added by the previous owner, I'm going to unsolder these connections and then get this, disconnect this again so I can get this out of the way, protect the dial and so forth that's on here before I go any further. So let me get that disconnected. Okay, let's see if we can get that disconnected there. Okay, so we can get this out of the way here. That'll be needing a little cleanup, but looks like it'll be pretty easy to do. I can't take the dial out because it's that wonderful assembly practice of pushing something through in plastic and then melting it over. But looking to see if I see a date code here in this. I really don't know. I got 10620, so I don't think that's it. Okay, set this aside. It's not going to get killed. All right. All right, so where is this attached to the other half? And the other thing is when the other half comes apart, looks like each one of these are in a slot and they're going to have to come out of their slot, slide out that way. This thing is so slow to focus. Yeah, so you can see the way these things have to slide out this way for this to lift out. And for that to lift out also, the knobs need to come off through the front. Oh, there's a light bulb in there. Right there. Just behind the dial. Or underneath the dial. Okay. Alright. Okay. This one's coming. Had me concerned. Sometimes people can be all gung-ho and glue these things on. And that makes getting chassis apart a real pain. Okay. Having said that, this one's really tight. It's moving. I checked beforehand, all these dials are all the same. They've got a little notch on one end, and other than that, they're the same. Okay, I'm thinking that when I get ready to pull this out, I'll be able to shift it down and work that AFC button through here, although perhaps it comes off as well. Let me see if it'll just come off. May have to work on that. Looks like maybe I can push it out from underneath. We'll see. Either that or I might be able to just pull it out from underneath. So let me just see, how's this thing held in here? I see this red screw here is probably red for look at me. And there's another red screw here. And it looks like to me, you can't see it, but there's a black standoff and plastic coming up from the other half. So that looks like that makes sense. Oh, this one's a... Okay, we got another look at me down there, a red one. Okay, good. There's probably another one under here that I can't see, though. Let's see. Well, what do you know? There it is. Look at that. This is like pristine. Probably the best looking battery compartment I think I've ever seen. There's a little bit of rust here. Not sure what's happening with that. Oh, and by the way, there's a slot down here. When I was doing some research on this, about this sliding into a bracket working into a bracket in a car, the bracket would lock this in place, so it had a key lock of some kind. But it also said that it would plug in to the car's power and disconnect the batteries. So this may be like a card in slot that would go in here and somehow disconnect the batteries and then hook it up to the car power supply. I don't know. It looks like there's another possible point here, but I don't think so. But anyway, when we get this out, maybe we'll see what that is. Because otherwise, maybe that's also where the car antenna would go. So I don't know. The slide mount I used to have back in the mid 70s had a lock on top, and you had a grip that you would squeeze, and then the whole thing would slide out. And I had to reach behind though and plug in an antenna that was going to the car antenna. But we'll see what's in here. Okay. Let me get those red screws out and see if we can get this thing to come open. So the two short ones went up the top with lock washers. Okay. All right, let's see if that was all it took. Feels loose here. The speaker is staying with the bottom half, which makes sense. I think the AFC switch has got a hold of it. Can I sneak it out? That's the question. Oh, looky there. There's that card edge I was telling you about. Yeah, so this is where it would connect into the bracket and then get power from the car. There's some rust here. It's probably just moisture from the atmosphere, though. This thing's so well cared for. Yeah, I'm going to have to see if I can pry that out of there. Let's see if I can get in there and let's see. I can't tell. Get a smaller screwdriver in there. I know you can't see. Let's see if I can get to where you can see. Right in there, there's a brass colored clip. I'm not sure how that disconnects. Man, I do not want to break it, so let me see if I can still finagle it from below. Yeah, it looks like it's disengaging. Oh, these things. Okay. Let's see here. Trying to push on this with a piece of plastic so I can avoid marring it. Do I have enough wire here? Maybe it's meant to just go ahead and stay attached. Hope that's not. Those might be glued in. I'm not sure. They look like they're glued. Let's see here. I need to get this out in order to get to those pots to clean them with that switch. It's so noisy. Okay, I'm off of the switch and I'm pivoting up. Do I have enough lead length? I cannot tell. Looks like I might be able to get lucky there. Okay. Tell you what I can do is I can say that gets me close enough to being able to get to those potentiometers and those switches to be able to clean them. And here's the switch. This is a stacked wafer switch. This is the one that's got the noise in it. So I can get to this now and I can clean these contacts and then put some cleaner in these other ones while I'm in it and clean this switch too. It moves easy. And then we can see what we got. Very interesting. It'd be nice if these things over here would come loose, but they don't seem to want to. Well, if I don't need it to come off, I don't, so I'll just leave it for now. Okay, so I'll just lay this carefully down. Put it off the edge so the pointer's not smashed on anything. I don't need to go back any further than that. All right. What is this? Okay, that's his power lines. Okay. So these are the switches for changing the band here. Okay, we'll get some contact cleaner into there and we'll see if that helps. People are always saying, what do you use? I usually use deoxit, but I find it seems like it takes a long time for it to dry and for things to come back. So I know it's got a little bit of lubricant in it, but this does too. This is neutral. So let me see if I can just put some of this in here, and then we'll turn the power back to it and see what we get. Do this 100 times or so. Yeah, if any of you guys look at this to try to see now, how's the tuning string done on this? Maybe this is a good time for me to show you. because if I couldn't find the schematic, you may not find the wiring, the stringing diagram for this. So let's start. Let's start here. There's like a brass post, and the wire, the dial string just goes across the top, doesn't wrap around it. Then it comes to this wheel, and it looks like it's got, okay, I may need to move this to see what it's doing. Which one is it? This one? Okay, so the string from that comes down to the larger diameter of this wheel and goes around. And as I look at it, I see one string from this position, which is all the way with the dial pointer this way towards where my finger is. And then the cord comes up through a slot in this disc, and they've got a piece of enamel on here to glue it. And then it wraps around the smaller diameter. And so as I look at it in this position, I see the one wrap that comes through the hole, another wrap, and then a top wrap. So I'm going from the bottom to the top, comes to here, and then it comes off this way. And as it comes off this way, it goes to the capacitor tuning wheel. And from there, it's on the top, comes in and goes to the spring. Okay. Then, of course, there's another line that comes off the spring and comes around, goes the other way around. I think it goes underneath here and then comes off and then goes around a little pulley. Sorry guys, I thought you could see this. Comes around a little pulley right here, just one turn this way. Then it comes to the tuning dial. As I look down on the position, I see 3 wraps. From here it goes over to a wheel here. I see 3 wraps, and the one that's innermost goes down inside. And what does it do? It looks like it wraps around the smaller diameter. And then it runs across the front and engages the pointer right here. Comes up, goes around this dial, and then it comes up to this little capstan looking thing right here, little brass pivot point, and it comes back to this one. So there's your routing of your dial string if you need this for this model. There you go. Because I couldn't find a schematic for this. I was kind of hoping that when I took the covers off there'd be a schematic on the inside of the cover somewhere. No such luck. So anyway, that's the string dimensions, directions for this. All right, so we got that done. Let me put a little bit of goodness in here. And then here, the volume pot. I will probably speed all this up so you're not having to sit there and watch all this happen forever. All I'm doing is twisting these, spray the neutral in there. You typically can't get into the on-off switch, and I don't see a port for it from where I'm sitting, but I was definitely able to come in from where the wires are for the volume control, and I'm in there doing what you normally do. You spray it in there and just twist it a whole bunch of times. This one I might be able to get in a little better from the side here. That's the tone control, I believe. Boy, that loosens it up really nice. Alright, that, and I'll put a little bit in the AFC. Okay, let's put some power to it and see if it does anything different. Let's see. So the gray lead we noticed came over here and had the red underneath it. So this is red, this is positive. I'll get this on here. Please cooperate. All right. And then this one, strangely enough, is ground. Okay. Power is off. Power supply comes up. I'm at 6 volts. Power on. There's nothing wrong with the amplifier section of this. I mean, I barely turned this thing on and it's shouting at me. So that's FM. Okay, there's AM. What a difference that made on the switch, huh? Okay, so there's AM. So the ferrite antenna's in here, so hopefully I can pick up something. I don't get many stations where I am. There you go. AM's working.
In their 70s that are just getting into the private placements with apartments. Flip side.
I mean, I'm moving the, there's off, here's on, and then
Hi, Nathan.
that's an eighth of a turn.
How are you today?
There's nothing
I'm
wrong
good.
with the
Thank you for
amplifier in here.
taking
I'll
my
tell
call,
you, I'm
Nathan.
really relieved because
You
this has
bet.
germanium transistors in it, and I was dreading having to replace those things.
At a recent event, and I'm interested in the.
So there's medium band. Like I say, I'm probably not going to pick up anything on this because I need an external antenna. I don't have one in here. Not right now. But I'm picking up station right there. So yeah, I'm picking up medium band. What do you know about that? All right. Well, we win some.
Basket lays it up. It's blocked by Williams off the glass. And Hurt for the Blue Devils. Handed off the gold wire on the runner.
Tonight, thank the good Lord that we're
That my radio worked.
Quý khán giả trong năm
All right. So now the next question is I can put this thing back together again. What do I want to do? You know, a lot of people would say, let's go recap this thing, but for heaven's sake, it works so well. I think that, you know, you always run the risk of causing more damage, you know, than anything else. I'd just say leave it alone. I don't see anything wrong with the way this thing is operating. The alignment, I think I'm not going to touch the alignment. I don't think I should touch anything on here. I think what I should do is just maybe clean up the parts that I can clean up and put this back together. I'd like to see these wires colors set a little more conventionally, so I think I'll take a little liberty and switch this to be a black wire and this one to be a red wire, so we have some consistency with that. I can go ahead and rehook up to the external power jack so that the owners can choose whether they want to put batteries in this. And I hate to see him actually do that because the previous owner had apparently never used the batteries inside here. He used external power, and it saved this radio. I mean, there's no alkaline gases and things that have been in here eating this board up. It's very unusual. Most of the stuff I get, you know, I've got a bunch of radios that I left batteries in, and they just corroded, ate away the traces, and they're a pain to try to get back to going, especially when they have SMDs everywhere. You can't hardly see where the traces are. Here's that board edge connector right here. See if I can get where you can see it. I don't want to damage the dial pointer, which is right here. But so there's the board edge. That would plug into a board edge connector that would be inside that bracket that went underneath the dash of the car. And so you slid this thing in, it would make up the power connections. I guess somehow it would disconnect the battery. I'm not sure how it did that. And then apply power from the car. And who knows, it may have also applied, it may have taken the speaker as well and gone into the car speaker. I don't know that. But anyway, awesome, fantastic. I'm going to start, I'm going to set this down, probably take a bunch of files off my jump drive there and see if I can start cleaning some of this up and put it back together again. And I think it's good to go. I'll give it some thought. Oh, when I had power to it, let me see one more thing. Power. There was a button. Where's the button? Here? It's in the front. It's right here. The button is right there. Okay. I don't see this bulb doing its thing. I'll check on that. It's probably a 51. I've got another bulb for that if that's not working. Well, you know what? It's probably supposed to make contact right here. That's what's supposed to happen. Okay. That contacts that and that closes the circuit. Well, let me see. Let me see if I can rig that. There. And then do this. Come on. Come on. Let's see if this light comes on right here. How about that? So you push that button, that light comes on and lights up the dial. And it works. Awesome. Right, so let me clean up some of these pieces and start putting it back together again. I'm not going to have you watch me cleaning this. I'll give you, you probably won't enjoy that too much. Clean the volume control. Clean the AFC. And while I was looking at doing that and checking the volume, make sure that it was clear and you could see stuff more or less and everything. What's this? I got this transformer, 6-volt transformer, and wasn't very expensive. And it is set up with a positive metal. So I was thinking, well, I could rewire this. And the idea is I want to cut this off and put this other plug on. So here's that switch here. And here's the plug. And so the way the plug is wired is positive is red, it goes to the tip. The barrel, or the sleeve rather, is black. I've got the cathode side to the positive that goes to the B plus of the radio, so that if this gets plugged in backwards, it'll bypass the radio and not damage it if it gets reverse polarity to it. A moment of truth.